one of my main contributions I want to leave is to put a grain of sun on introducing and using the etheric field and all the information that is in our etheric field in the medical system.
Yeah. How does that even come about? Because it seems like such a polarity to have like a hospital setting, especially oncology ward, with something so powerful like energy healing, so vastly different. And usually the two don't generally blend together. How did that come about for you?
It was all guided.
Welcome to the Enlighten podcast, the enlightened journey of life. Because we're not just here to chase enlightenment, we are here to live life, to embody all aspects of ourselves, to bring the sacred into every day. I'm your host, Jen Hamilton, self-mastery mentor, tantra guide, and sacred rebel at heart. This podcast is a devotion to the art of knowing thyself. Through solo snippets, raw musings, and deep conversations with epic guests, we explore the sacred, the sensual, and the spiritual, diving deep into self-exploration and always leaving you with something to take away. This isn't just a podcast, it's a portal to awaken, to liberate, to remember who you truly are. It is an honor to have you here. Let's get enlightened. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Enlighten podcast. I'm your host, Jen, and my very special guest today is Monica Finazzo. Monica is an internationally published author, intuitive counselor, complementary therapist, and spiritual teacher with over 24 years of experience. Her passion is to help people feel better, find their own truth, and realize their dreams. She has worked in hospitals as a healer, in corporate settings as a wellness coach, and has been a guest speaker on radio programs, retreats, seminars, expos, and festivals around Australia. With a passion for teaching and sharing knowledge, Monica has helped many people find their path and manifest the life of their dreams. She's completed 3 university degrees and numerous courses in health and well-being. Monica is such a bright light in this world. She has such a big, beautiful energy, and it was an absolute pleasure to have her on the show. I'm so excited for you to hear this interview. So without further ado, let's dive in. Hello, welcome to another episode of the Enlighten podcast. I'm joined by my very special guest today, Monica. Welcome, Monica.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here. You do some incredible things. I know that so many yeses are going to come out of this with what we align on. You're a spiritual teacher. You're an author. Tell us the magic that you bring to the world.
Well, I love to meet people and change their life through knowledge. So I think that what we are mostly missing in the world, it's the share of knowledge.
Oh, yes.
And once you have a few tools to be able to get your life in the right place, to get living your purpose and to do what your soul has called for, then I think that's my job done.
Yeah.
I love empowering people to pursue what they are here for, mostly.
Yeah. And so how do you do that? How do you work with people?
I have been seeing clients one-to-one for 16 years now,
Wow.
full time. I started reading tarot when I finished school. So I have been reading tarot for 25 years.
Wow.
I see a lot of people for tarot readings. It's more like a spiritual counseling session.
Yes.
And we get so much out of a simple 45-minute session. But then I started doing energy healings and a little bit of past lives and cellular memory releases or negative cellular memory releases. And I combine Reiki, access bars. So I do a full session where I do a reading for someone so we can get to basically the root cause of the issue. And bypass all of the blah, 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 all the stories that we all have. And then I go into basically do a chakra balancing, an aura cleansing, and then a little bit of an energy healing. I absolutely love working with people's etheric fields.
Yes.
I then also teach, and I have been teaching a certified energy healer practitioner training
Wow.
this will be the 9th year
Mm-hmm.
in a row. And I also train certified tarot readers.
Mm.
I have written a book and an oracle deck.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my passion, I had the opportunity actually to work as an energy healer in a hospital at the Royal Adelaide Hospital.
Wow.
Yes, and I did that for 12 months because I felt pregnant and then I had other priorities. I worked with lots of nurses. And I just saw how important it is to treat patients and people that it's needing that extra help one-on-one, give them the time to listen to their emotions, what they're going through, but also provide an alternative to what they are already doing, that it's not going to harm what they are already doing. So I mostly worked at the oncology ward with a lot of cancer patients. And I had an opportunity to do healings on people that would have never had the means to pay for me. So introduce them to the possibilities of alternative therapy. I was using essential oils and doing lots of Reiki and bringing my crystals to the hospital. And a lot of people found so much happiness, so much relief and hopes in what I was doing. So I think one of my main contributions I want to leave is to put a grain of sand on introducing and using the etheric field and all the information that is in our etheric field in the medical system.
Yeah. How does that even come about? Because it seems like such a polarity to have like a hospital setting, especially oncology ward, with something so powerful like energy healing, so vastly different. And usually the two don't generally blend together. How did that come about for you?
It was all guided.
Wow.
I woke up one day, I had a baby. She was 2. And I woke up like it was shouting at me, this spirit voice, and said, you have to go to the hospital and ask to be a volunteer there for Reiki. And I'm like, oh, that it's random. So I woke up, I packed the baby, got in the car, got to hospital. And when I got there, the volunteer section was still closed. And so I had to wait. And then they opened up and I said, hey, I'm here. I want to volunteer. I want to do some energy healing and some Reiki. And they said, oh, that wouldn't be with us. Just go and see health promotions. So I went and saw health promotions and they welcomed me very much. I volunteered for the patients, but then they gave me a room and I was charging to do energy healings on nurses.
Wow.
And they got me some incredible speaking opportunities as well. For all sorts of different medical fields in different areas. And also did a few workshops at the hospital to mostly for the volunteers, just to introduce them what the possibilities were of using complementary therapy with the therapies that they were offering already.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yes, that was pretty special. It got really difficult after a while. But yeah, I did what I could.
Yeah, that's
So
incredible.
the nurses did love me.
I want to circle back to one of the first things that you said that you got into, which was tarot from a young age. Did tarot find you, or did someone teach you how to use tarot? Was that passed down through generations? I always love hearing people's tarot stories.
Yeah, well, I was very lucky. I went to see a beautician when I was 18, and she said, you're not here for beauty at all. So come to this next room. And she did my first reading that I ever had. And she read my iris. And it wasn't iridiology.
Oh, it wasn't iridiology?
No. I have done iridiology. No, she read my soul. And I was blown away. I'm like, what just happened? And then she's like, yeah, I'm going to take you under my wing. I think that you need to learn a lot of things. And so she was kind of my first spiritual teacher. And after a year of me seeing her, she said, you are ready now for tarot. So a tarot teacher rang me and said, hi, I've been given your number. I'm going to be your tarot teacher. I'm going to train you. These are the days, these are the costs, these are the times. So I had to hide from my parents because,
Oh, yeah.
I grew up in a very dangerous country. And I had to go to the center of the city, which is not a safe place, to study tarot on Saturday mornings. And so I just made up things and just pulled through and did it. And then that group also led me to then start a Wiccan tradition training. So and then that just
kept going.
kept going. Yes.
Yeah.
So the first 3 spiritual teachers I had, I don't want to make anyone think that I'm special in any way or any form, but I was kind of chosen. They chose to work with me, and they chose to take me on the
They
wings.
can see something within you that
Yes.
you've got it. You
And
understand it.
So my first energy healer training, I had 2 teachers and me, which
Yeah.
was a couple, and we're still very good friends. And I trained for 12 months as well on their guidance. So.
Wow. What do you think about now? Because there's we saw this massive rise in new age and spirituality, and there's so many decks available. There's so many oracle cards. Tarot is like a very almost normal part of the journey when you're on a spiritual path these days and going sort of down that, what we used to call the new age spirituality.
Yes.
How does that make you feel? I'm assuming you learn on traditional tarot, and there's just so many sort of variations now. Where do you sit with that?
I absolutely love oracles of any shape or form. I actually, in my tarot certification, I teach and let the students create a deck. And then at the end of the training, they get 3 printed decks that they have created. So I take them through learning tarot and creating an oracle for them. And I have had many students that go and print thousands and sell them. So I'm all up for tarot creation and book writing and sharing that beautiful spiritual knowledge with others and those channelings with others. I am from the perspective that I have, like I said, I have written a couple of books myself. I'm writing now another deck and another book all at the same time. And it does take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I own particularly over 100 decks.
Wow.
And lots of spiritual books. There is no way I can create in my lifetime those many decks or write those many books. So we are always going to consume more tarot decks, oracle decks, and spiritual books that we are able to create.
Yes.
So there is always going to be more demand than supply.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm not at all worried about, that there is lots of decks created out there or anything. And there is always, I know how I like my decks.
Yes.
So we always are kind of led to a particular style or a particular author.
Or the artwork as well. That speaks to me generally, the artwork.
The artwork, yes. And now with AI, we are just open to so many possibilities. And I was telling my students the other day, wow, if we don't know how the future is going to be, there is no chance for our people out there.
That's it. Yeah. I'd love to know, so with reading the tarot and with what you know about the tarot, is it its own consciousness that comes through us? Is it a reflection of ourselves that gets presented through cards? Like, how would you even describe to people that are going, I've heard of tarot, I've seen tarot. How do you describe because my journey with tarot has been phenomenal. I turn to one particular deck for most things. It's like my bestie kind of thing. And there's some decks I'm still like, I don't know how to read traditional tarot. But there's always the guidebook in there that gives you something and you can take away from it. What's going on, though, with tarot? What is the essence of that?
Yeah, so tarot is a tool that allows you to open someone's line of information, someone's cellular memory, akashic records, however you want to call it. So it's a tool that allows you to see what has happened in their line of information, what is the actual situation where the light is now, and what is the direction that the light is going to take.
Yeah.
So it gives you a huge overview of where the person has been, where it is, and where it's going if it doesn't make any changes. I think that it's an incredible tool for counseling. I would love to see every counselor, every psychologist, well, there won't be everyone, but the majority of counselors, psychologists, and mental health institutions using tools like oracles to help people. Like I said, there is so many stories that we tell ourselves, and tarot has the power to go in all, just override all of those stories and go to the point of creation of that story, the point of creation of the trauma that it's creating the things that you don't like of your life at the moment. A lot of people think that tarot is negative. Now, and what I tell my clients is like, if you're here for me to tell you how amazing your life is, that's easy work for me. Really easy. But we are here to fix what's not going well in your life. The challenges, yeah. So let's leave what's good to the side. And it's not negative. We are here problem solving and seeing the possible solutions for you to have the life of your dreams, to feel fulfilled, to be back on your path, back on your purpose. I strongly believe that if we all follow a purpose, there will be amazing balance in the world.
Yeah, I agree. Where do you feel like humanity's got it so wrong? Like, how did we become so disconnected? How did we become so out of touch with our own innate wisdom?
The disconnection mostly from nature. I think when we stopped listening to nature, that was a big step backwards.
Yeah.
And when we started looking outwards for answers and for comparison. Because comparison and the need for power there is a big correlation in there when we actually are entering an era of collaboration. What we are doing today.
We are,
that is just where we're heading. Competition, it's such an old
paradigm.
Yep.
It really is.
Yes.
It really is. And like I've always been drawn to collaboration. I've always loved working with other people and in a team environment or bringing different sets of skills together because no one person can do it all. Like you said about creating tarot, like you can't do it all. You can hold all of this wisdom. But when we come together, collectively, we can bring all of our skills, all of our wisdom, all of our love together for the greater good. And I think we're definitely seeing more of that rising, which I love.
Absolutely. And there is a lot of science backup of what happens to the human being and to our mental health when we try to isolate ourselves.
Yes.
We are not a race to be, we didn't evolve to be isolated or to work in front of a computer and never see others. The lack of touch that we have in the world today, that is incredibly going backwards.
I feel as though like when, in 2020, we had a massive like overhaul in the way we did life. A lot of lessons were learnt during that time. What I found though is that we were very lucky. We had all the tools to go online. And we had the opportunities for some people to work from home, but it was very isolating. It was very disconnected. And I feel like we're coming back from that slowly. Like one of the things I really missed was going to events, like networking events or, catch ups. Like everything was done online and it became almost clinical.
Yes.
It became really uncomfortable. And now it's like the world is wide open again. Yet I still feel as though we're all just hanging out online still. And that's why I've said, like, you know, for this season of the podcast, I'm like, no, in flesh, please. Like,
And I love it. I love being here. This is so what you were kind of an answer to my prayers as well, you know, because I am also craving so much that collaboration, that connection with others, and the power to share information. We really underestimate the power of two minds coming together.
Yes.
I'm a creative by nature, but I also study creativity at QUT. I did a master's in the creative industries. And there was no assignment that was individual. When you're studying in the creative industries, you are a team in there of many minds come together. And if we think of the etheric field or the energy field, aura, however you want to call it, as a beautiful egg, that if it's working properly, should be the shape of an egg and should be nice and bright and have lots of colors and almost holographic. When two eggs meet, then that's what I call an energetic moire. A lot of people call it the Vesica Pisces, or that connection between two etheric fields. That has an incredible power to co-create.
Yes.
And the bigger and stronger our connection, the stronger that mix of etheric fields will be.
Yes.
You know, the strongest manifestation of that would be between a man and a woman and creating a baby together.
Yes, absolutely.
So even though we are not creating a life together, we might be creating a project together. We are creating a beautiful podcast together. We can create so much when we collaborate. And then more and more energy fields coming together. They just enhance that flow of the collective consciousness.
Yes, absolutely. It's funny because my partner and I, we've just started doing Tantra events together.
Oh, nice.
And we were down in Byron Bay a few weeks ago and we got our individual aura photos done and then we had one together.
Oh.
And it was beautiful to see our aura come together and it was just so bright. It was so beautiful. And you know, it's not on the cards for us to bring a life into the world, but to bring, you know, creative projects like, you know, workshops and training events. And, you know, we podcast together as well. There's a lot of creative projects that we want to work on together. And that's the thing. Like I couldn't do all of those things on my own without him. It wouldn't be the same. You know, I could deliver it in my Jen style, but when it's the Jen and Cass style, it's got its own flavor to it. So I think the power of collaboration for all things, I think it's just so much more powerful.
Yes, and it helps us move forward quicker as well, as a community, as a generation, and as a collective.
As a collective. Yes. And that's what I was going to talk to you about because you talk about the collective consciousness a lot as well in your work. Yes. Can you tell us what collective consciousness means to you? This episode of the Enlifen podcast is proudly sponsored by the Sanctuary of Self, your portal to self-discovery and creating a sanctuary within. At the Sanctuary of Self, our philosophy is rooted in the belief that true transformation begins with knowing yourself deeply. Here you will find my signature programs. It's the home of all of my Tantra offerings, including in-person sessions in Brisbane, workshops and trainings all around Australia. I invite you to start with the Flourish Collective membership, a nurturing sanctuary for personal growth and transformation. This membership offers a greenhouse of resources, including workbooks, meditations, and soulful self-paced practices designed to help you cultivate alignment, purpose, and self-love. At only $44 per month with no lock-in contract, you can access an abundance of resources, videos, ebooks, meditations, and workshops with new content added monthly. Head to sanctuaryofself.love for all the juicy details.
Well, the collective consciousness is where all the information since the Big Bang it's stored. And we are co-creators of this collective consciousness. Some people call it ki, chi, prana, a collective Akashic record, if you will, God,
Yeah.
So that collective consciousness, it's basically all of our thoughts, all of our feelings, all of our actions, all of our emotions. And there is obviously different degrees of thoughts. There are thoughts that you have given it a lot of power, while there are thoughts that you have given it less power. So they will have kind of different, let's say, gigabytes of intake in that collective consciousness. It's very much, and it's very interesting because I think the Bible mentions that we create like we were created, like God created us, and in turn we create like God created us. So we have created the net exactly like that collective consciousness.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing more similar to that collective consciousness that we have created than Google,
Well,
or AI.
yeah, exactly that. And it's really interesting because what I feel is that when we tap into that collective consciousness, we can feel what essentially everyone's feeling. And there's
Absolutely.
big things happen in the world.
Yes.
So when we had, COVID and all of those times, the whole world was closing down. There was a lot of fear. We could feel that on a big
Absolutely.
level. When
Yes.
there's like talk of people going to war, or when there's like even American politics, it's like there's this edginess
Yes.
that exists. But I also feel as though there is like so much abundance, so much creativity, so much inspiration, so much collaboration that we can tap into. It's just that it's almost like we reach for that, what I would call like the lower density. So the fear and the worry that we go to, but we can also tap into that higher consciousness where it's like, hang on, there's actually a different experience that we get to have. And I feel that we're blessed to be in this digital age where we can connect. Like you and I met online.
Yes.
We're so blessed to have the internet, to have social media, to have these connections.
Yes.
We're so blessed to have AI to support us in all of the things that we do
Yes.
as well. Doesn't mean that we live by those things and can't live without them. They're a supportive tool.
Yes.
So is it, am I sort of on the right path here where we've got the different densities that we can tap into at any time?
Yes, absolutely. But I want to invite you and everyone that has the opportunity to watch this, that we start being a little bit more proactive with that collective consciousness. So you mentioned the example of COVID and what we felt. So COVID was, and the wars that are happening, and what you watch on TV and what actually sells on TV and international companies, they are a response or a reaction of what the collective consciousness is looking for.
Yes.
So all this, we all have part in it. There is no one safe from this. We all have to take responsibility. This is what we manifested as a collective. Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to invite everyone and give you the incredible power that we all have, that we can steer the collective consciousness.
We can shift that.
And we can shift it.
Yeah.
And we need at this time as many light workers and as many awakened people, because we are the shifters. We are the captains,
Yeah.
We are like, okay, we have the awareness that we can shift the collective consciousness, and just through supply and demand, and to the choices that we make, not only with our emotions, with our actions, with our money, but with our thoughts and with our intentions, we are going to be able to shift the collective consciousness in a way that it's going to be supportive, first and foremost, for Mother Earth.
Yes,
And
always.
then followed by the rest of us.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I feel as though like during those COVID times, because we came from such a place of fear, because we came from such a place of uncertainty, it was almost like everyone started feeling it and feeding off each other's energy in that. And I also feel as though because we've landed on this like planet of polarity and duality, because we have one thing, we have it in exactly the same in the opposite way as well. So I feel as though when we go to the other place of love as opposed to fear, when we go to that creativity, we can expand on that as well, because we saw like the fear of COVID expand and expand and expand. And it's almost like just captured everybody in its path, didn't it? And I feel as though we have that opportunity to take that completely in the other way, but it's going to take conscious awareness of self.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The only way to change that collective consciousness is by being a pattern breaker. Do what it feels more in line again with what it's going to be the best for the highest and most beautiful energy for all of us, the best for my higher self, the best for Mother Earth. And you can really never go wrong with that.
Yeah.
So I think that our generations are catalytics to break so many patterns, generational patterns that have come from generation to generation to generation. Why are you doing things like that? Oh, because we have been doing this for the next 300 years. And then our generation comes and says like, there are smarter, better, and more fun ways to do things, like in fact the generations now that are come after us, you're not gonna see what we probably saw in the generation before us, that it's people working for the same company for 30, 40, 50 years.
Yes.
Yet the generation after us, it's just like, no, I'm going to do what serves me and what keeps me happy. I don't want to be unhappy anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a chain of anything. I don't want to, even the fact that kids these days are not into cigarettes like
I was back in the day.
into alcohol, they are really, really, really changing. Being vegan, it's now, the new fashion.
It's almost trending.
Absolutely. Like I was the other day at a very common, normal shop. I don't remember which one was, but there was all this tarot stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, it is my time. And I always think it's like the gods are blessing me, obviously. Thank you so much, because then I can buy all these things that are tarot team that we have never been able to buy before.
Yeah.
Or being open about different religions, different spirituality, accepting each other. Doesn't matter your color, your race, your accent.
Yes.
So we are moving into this space of expansion. And we know that the universe is expanding. And in turn, we live inside this universe. In turn, we are constantly expanding.
Yeah.
And I feel that we are expanding faster than ever before.
Do you feel like that's why time feels like it's going so fast? Is because there's so much information coming in that we've got a different way of like divvying up the information in our own brain. It's very consuming. And it feels like, I mean, we're at time of recording, we're mid-May.
Yes.
Like I'm pretty sure it was only New Year's 2 weeks ago, but we're 5.5 months in.
But if you see, I had the beautiful opportunity to be in some caves in the Caribbean, and we were looking at the hieroglyphics. And I'm sitting there just thinking like, wow, my daughter was born drawing better than this. So we obviously collect all this information into the grid or the collective consciousness. And every time we have a new generation, we expand with a lot more information. We have, let's say, a collective memory, if you will. And at the moment, it's got so much information there that it's super fast to download more possibilities.
Yes.
So we are rich with possibilities at this time. And there is no need of having starvation, of having some poverty, so of having so many issues, pollution. We can make everything biodegradable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything can be made biodegradable. And so it's up to each one of us to choose every day to take that route.
Yes.
And I think that would be the best fight against all the things that we think are ruining the world.
Yeah, imagine all the money that, countries put towards war.
That it's absolutely, one of the things, one of my pet peeves is like, we should be putting that money on health education. I don't know.
Supporting people, getting people off the streets, feeding people.
Absolutely. There is no reason why we couldn't have fruit trees growing
Yes.
everywhere in parks, in the streets.
Yes, make it accessible for people.
Absolutely. Why
Yeah.
should be, I believe that should be a tax deduction for you to be able to have your own home garden.
Yes,
To
and
grow your own vegetables.
interestingly enough, it was Victoria a couple of years ago tried to ban people from growing their own food, that they wanted to ban it or tax people for it. Like it
should be the opposite.
Yeah, it should be. It should be the opposite. Yeah. And I truly feel like we have lost touch with that.
Yes.
You know, I feel, and not only that, like this goes so deep because our soil is fucked. Yes. You know, there's all the pollutions, there's all of the pesticides that are being used on our foods. There's all of these things that we're consuming consciously and unconsciously on a daily basis that's affecting not only our body, but then our gut health, our cells, our overall immune system. There's all of these things that we're choosing that is working against us. You know, at some stage we have to call plot twist and say this needs to shift.
Yes. And I think that the reason why I also love teaching, it's because it's very important for me that everyone makes informed decisions about their health. And that everyone understands that there is no one in charge of their health but themselves.
That's true.
And that they have a lot of power and a lot of say in what's going on in their body and what they accept to bring in and what they decline to bring into their body.
Yes. And there's a lot of information out there and contradicting information. Yes. I've been caught up in contradicting information for years.
Yes.
You look at one way and then you find, you know, proof to sustain those beliefs. And then something comes along and it changes. And you look at another version, which is the opposite of what you were doing. And you're like, oh, is that supposed to be better for me? Like it's noisy out there. And that's just in one way. This happens in all things.
Yes. And that it's now you probably have touched a point in me that it's like, screaming because as a industry, in my industry, we are highly disorganized. And so lots of people gets driven by the ego of creating a new modality. I have the next new healing thing. I have the next new answer for everything. And I don't know the answer of this. Yeah, I don't know how to solve this issue because I'm sure that people, and we have been talking about creativity and co-creation and how to express yourself and create in the best way. But there is also that energy of competition and I am the best and I have created the latest thing that now this is definitely going to help you. This is definitely going to heal you. This is definitely going to cure you.
Yes. Just pay $20,000 and I'll teach it to you.
Yes, exactly. And so that has become a little bit weird.
Yeah.
And I have lots of students and people complains about that when I do discovery calls with my students. There is a lot of complaining about all these people starting to realize that this is happening. And that is where I think that we have to, first and foremost, I'm not discounting that there will be breakthroughs, but also agree on things that have been working for a long time and for hundreds or thousands of years, and then put a little bit more power on those.
Yes, that's so true, isn't it?
So I do love how our industry is starting to get a little bit more regulated because then we're going to be taken more seriously.
Yes.
And then we're going to have more power and more backup to move forward and to have a chance to introduce complementary therapies into
everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, so many more places.
For example, you know?
Yeah. And that's I feel as though we're on the right path with that. Yes. And I feel as though you and I work in quite sort of unregulated areas of the industry, which we see. And sure, there are a lot of cowboys in the industry. There are some people that really come from the place of how can I just make a quick buck from this? But I also feel as though everyone's on their own soul journey and their own lessons with this. And if there's someone for someone, that's great.
Yes, and that was going to be my next point. If someone really resonates with you and you really have that beautiful connection with someone, that's half of the healing, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. What is it that you would love to see start to shift in humanity now moving forward?
Oh, that is a huge question. I would love to see less centralization in any sense and more community.
Yeah.
Um, so, as we know, we have seen it with our own eyes that when things get too centralized and there is too much power, let's say one of the biggest religions in the world, or the biggest companies in the world, or the biggest governments of the world, it doesn't really work too great, and it can get detrimental for the rest of us. So I think decentralization will be a good answer to a lot of the issues that we are having, and supporting more small businesses, small communities,
Yes.
small uh, spiritual groups that actually resonate with you very well.
Yes, and I think it's in the resonation that we
Yes.
find with people, because sometimes it's hard to find communities to be connected to. I remember, my mum grew up Catholic, and then I was raised Catholic until I changed my mind.
Yes,
you
me
know, up
too.
until my sort of teenage years,
Yes,
where I
me
became a
too.
bit more rebellious, and I was like,
Yes.
this is not for me.
Yes.
But I remember her always speaking about the community of the church.
Yes.
And the friendships and the closeness made. And it was very conditional, though, in the church. I remember, like, back in the day, like, this was back in, the 90s, barely anyone got divorced then. And I
Yes.
remember someone within the church got divorced, and she basically had her rights stripped off her to have communion. And she was very much outcast in that way. And I mean, we're seeing like 1 in 2, couples divorcing these days. So the statistics are very different. But it was almost like if you weren't part of the church or part of that community, you were outcast. How do people find communities where they're not conditional? Like, tell us about maybe some of the communities that you've been part of that people deeply resonate with that, but there's nothing that says you have to sit with us in church or you have to be one of us. Tell us about community from your perspective.
Wow, that is an extremely challenging question. um, hmm, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the answer will be to that. Yeah, it is a very interesting question to actually work towards,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's craving a sense of community.
Absolutely.
And I feel like everyone's sort of looking, well, where do I find that? Where do I go? Like,
Yes.
I've spoken to so many adults that are like, how do we make friends? Like, in our older years, it's so easy as a kid. You just play handball and
Yes.
like you just become best friends.
I think because we are based in the collective consciousness, there is a lot of power there on judgment, and judgment to others, but judgment to ourselves as well.
Yeah.
So I think that to be able to find something of what you mentioned, we really need to lower our levels of judgment, and we really need to have more tolerance for ourselves and more compassion for each other, which I think we have lost a lot of that. Yeah.
I guess because we don't gather in communities the same way. And
Yes.
I don't know about you and your experience with motherhood, but when I first became a mother, I craved community that almost didn't exist. I had an
Yes.
online community, which was amazing. Like, I could not have lived or got through those early months of motherhood without my online community. But again, there's nothing like being in the flesh. And,
Yes.
back, hundreds of years ago, women were so supported during motherhood, through pregnancy and motherhood. It took a village to raise a child. And in some communities that still
and
happens.
it takes a village to raise an adult too.
It does, doesn't it?
When do we think that we stop growing?
Yeah.
Not because we don't see it as physical as a child grows, doesn't mean that we are not growing anymore. We are still growing. And I think that it's up to us to create that just around you. Like, I always organize like a Christmas gathering in my street.
Yes.
And I just, even yesterday, I was with 2 neighbors. We were going from property to property. Like, we picked limes from one girl's property, we picked lemons from the other one, and then we picked mandarins from my property. We went to see the chickens from one, and it's like, okay, you have eggs, and
That's real
yes, that it's
community.
beautiful. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna do a Christmas in July this year as well, so
Amazing.
we get together. But it happens a lot in cities, again, that centralization, that a lot of people doesn't even know the neighbor.
Yeah, it's like that. I remember back when I was growing up, we knew all the neighbors.
All the neighbors, we
Like
were
everyone
out
knew
in the
everyone.
street,
Yeah, riding our
playing.
bikes.
Absolutely. And for me, that has been really important, that my children walk on the street and they know every house. So if they feel unsafe, they can jump at and enter any of our neighbors' houses.
Yes, it's so important.
And see, I feel unsafe out there. I need to be inside here. There is someone following me, or there is a car coming, something like that.
Yes, and it's teaching our children to like pass that on as well, because we just don't see it as much anymore. Like, no, like I used to drive around my street here, and like there was times I would see some neighbors getting together on the driveway for a wine, and I'd think to myself, do we just walk up with a chair? Like, how do we get an invite?
Yes. And we lost that power of as adults, as saying, can I play with you? I want to play with you. Do you want to be my friend?
Do you want to play? Let's get out there. And I love that, like, hearing, my kids started a new school last year, and I guess my concern, but my excitement for them was making new friends, having, transitioning from a completely different schooling environment. And they both settled in and made friends easily. They're both, very, very beautiful, loving, kind kids. But you worry about your kids as well. You're like, are they going to be able to make friends? Because children are learning from their parents. And so if their parents are closed off, that aren't, in that space of community, that aren't welcoming, that aren't like, hey, let's get together and know the neighbors, that's what the kids are learning from them.
Yes. And I think that we have to think more in the sense of, I am part of communities rather than part of a community.
Yes, it's multiple.
It's you want to have multiple communities out there.
Yes.
So you want to have your community that maybe you share recipes with, and you get together and you do some cooking together. You want to have the community that maybe you share your spirituality.
Yes.
You don't have to get everything from one community.
It's the same as friends.
Exactly.
And your partner, you can't expect your partner to provide absolutely everything for you. You get different things from different people in your life. Absolutely.
Yes, and more collaboration and helping each other, knowing that we are only as fast as a collective consciousness as the slowest.
Yes, that's very true.
And there is billions of us.
Yes.
Billions.
Yes, there's so many. And there are groups out there. I'm in like local community groups on Facebook, and there's one that they run. It's called the Plunge Posse. And every Wednesday morning they do a plunge in the ocean at 7:00 in the morning. And I've been a couple of times. I'm like, this is
a cool community.
Yeah, this is everyone. But the common theme, I guess, that people are okay with getting uncomfortable.
Yes.
And that's one of the ways in which I grow and learn about myself, is who am I on the other side of a cold plunge.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It's the same as like skydiving, bungee jumping. Like I have, definitely a fear of heights to some degree, but I love the challenge. I love who I am on the other side of an experience that is so wildly uncomfortable.
Yes.
And I feel like that sometimes you've got to step into that mindset to go out and go into places that feel brand new and you don't know anyone, because it's very likely you're going to meet someone in exactly that same position as you. That it just takes stepping over that line of discomfort to go, well, I'm just going to show up and see what happens.
That's it. But we have to definitely broaden our community, because that is what propels you forward in the end of the day. It's not who you are, but who you know. And that doesn't seem to change as I grow.
Even joining like a yoga studio.
Yes.
Like going and meeting people there regularly, like find things that you are that light you up, that you can talk all day to people about, because you're going to find common ground in these places.
Yes, absolutely. And then you also have people to share your purpose with, your vocation with.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I love all of this. I know that we could keep talking for hours. Monica, how do people find you? How do people work with you? Tell us about, and we'll link to everything in the show notes, but what's the best way for people to step into your field and absorb some of this beautiful energy that you have to offer?
Thank you. I have a webpage, and that is theenchantress.com. Or also you can find it through Monica Finazzo. And I have all of the medias. I have Facebook and Instagram, all under The Enchantress. I am based in the Sunshine Coast for now. And you can also come and see me there as a one-on-one. And I also am hoping to start putting a few things more in YouTube.
Oh, amazing. Yes, that's really taking off now, isn't it?
Yeah. So just to share a little bit more teachings. I do love teaching people and empowering people in the journey.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being part of the Enlighten podcast. Before we wrap up,
for having me.
I have one more question for you.
Yes.
Monica.
Okay.
What is the meaning of life?
Oh, to find your purpose and leave a co-creation in the world that is going to help the next generations.
Yes, I love that. Thank you. You're absolutely amazing. Thanks for being part of the Enlighten podcast. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I hope you love the Enlighten podcast, and the biggest compliment you can give me is subscribing to this podcast, sharing it, and leaving a rating and review. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. My handle is @JenHamiltonOfficial, and the podcast handle is enlightened_podcast. You can also find the video version on YouTube on my channel. Just search Enlightened, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Have a beautiful day and enjoy living the enlightened journey of life.